What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name is Greg Wave. I have a video for you guys today about my best tips for traffic, navigating it, getting out of it, but mainly prevention, staying away from it in general. Most people would say that with something like cancer, preventative measures are always the best way to go. For any major sickness, it's like you can't try to cure something, you've got to try and prevent something. And a very extreme analogy, but I do believe that it's like the same way with traffic and Uber and Lyft driving, is that your goal is to prevent it rather than be in it and try and get out of it. But I'm going to cover both things. So first things first, I wanted to tell you guys about a really cool service called PlayOctopus. PlayOctopus is basically a tablet that this company will send you, and people can play games on this tablet. It's completely free. They send it to you for free. And then you make extra money. It generates extra money for you each month based on the people that are playing, I think how active they are, the ads they see, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So check it out, guys. It's not in my market yet, but I'm signed up for it. I'm going to be one of the first ones in my market to have it, and I'm like amped to get that rolling. I think with something like that, it's just an additional service to where it makes you look better as a driver. I think that if you do these things, people see that you're really invested in what you do, you know, and even if they don't play the tablet, it's just like, I think people like getting taken seriously. I think sometimes that if you're constantly getting picked up by kids that just feel like they're, you know, doing this for an hour and then they're going to go hit the bars, it's like, a lot of people might not always feel the most professional from that. But when you're utilizing all these different things like PlayOctopus, or I've talked about Cargo Snack Box in the past, just shows that you're really invested and you take your job seriously. So check it out, guys. It's free. I mean, there's no freaking reason not to. If you're in a bigger market especially, like, just look into it. I'll leave a link in the description. Alrighty, so my main traffic tips. Alrighty, so the biggest one is if you're in traffic, I will pretty much only do this on weekdays, but weekday traffic, the biggest thing I do is I set a destination trip as far away from like the opposite direction of the traffic. And here's the reason why. Is in the past, I've so many times been baited into this thought when I'm in traffic that, okay, I'm going to just drop off this ride and I'll get off the highway, and then I'll get another ride, and you know, it's gonna go a different direction, or you know, a lot of times if it's like a busier time in that area, like I'm too nervous about leaving that area, so I'm banking on my next ride. Well, here's what happens like 9 times out of 10. You get that next ride and you're right back in traffic. Most often than not, based on the time of day you're going, the average passenger is gonna be going towards traffic. So you want to get those few that aren't. So what I do, if it's a day where I'm down to risk my destination trips. Now, for those of you that don't know, on Uber, I'm really, really big on my destination trips. Especially on the weekend, there are ways that I make a lot of money using them. And so I don't like wasting them. Now, if it's a weekday, I don't really mind because I don't really use them on weekdays all that often. So if I do get stuck in traffic, the first thing I'm doing is I'm sliding up the app and putting on basically clicking the go button, but if it's already on, it'll say stop new request. So I click that so that I don't get any new rides. Correction, I did that before I got gold rewards. So now I have gold rewards, so if I'm in traffic, I don't accept the ride unless it's going the direction I want to go. So like if I'm northbound and I'm in 20 minutes of traffic, I will probably decline rides until I see one that's going south, because I know that I'm moving away from the traffic and it's going to get me in a position where I can give consistent rides. Because here's a little tip for Uber and Lyft. Quality, I don't think, is as important as quantity. I really don't. I think that as long as you're consistently giving rides, you're going to always stay at a good pace. Like if you're giving 2 to 3 rides per hour and you stay on that pace, you're going to be at a pretty good margin, pretty much no matter what time of day you're at. Now, a lot of times when we go surge chasing and stuff, you know, we end up sacrificing 1 or 2 rides here and there to try and get a big surge, a big ride. And that's a lot of times the case. Or we end up in a really, like, here's a good example, concerts. How much freaking traffic do you have to go through? How long do you have to wait to give that one concert ride? A long time. Whenever Uber is surging by a concert, I'm really careful if I actually do it or not, because I've got to really think about if I want to get stuck and all that. This is kind of the similar principle. The traffic dense areas might take you to hotter areas, but for that time of day, it's not going to be worth it, because odds are you won't consistently give 2 to 3 rides per hour. But if I hop on a destination and I get back in the areas that aren't good or that aren't in traffic, I'm more than likely going to stay at that 2 to 3 ride per hour range. And that's where you want to be. Trust me on that. So that's my number one tip. So now, and that's if you're like stuck in traffic. Now, the main thing, like I was saying earlier, is prevention. You know, like we want to prevent even getting into traffic, and that is possible. I drive a lot of days from 3 to 7 p.m. And there's a lot of days where I barely hit any traffic in all my time of doing that. So my biggest thing is I target areas where I know I'm going to be giving quicker rides in surge zones. So the one thing is, if you have traffic, you should have surge somewhere. Unless you're in a crappy market, and I'm sorry. But here, and it's not always a monster surge. It's usually $1 to $5 at the most on a weekday, with like the occasional $7 to $10 surge that's gone within like 2 to 3 minutes, right? But what I can usually do is I usually coast and roam through the areas that have really small surges, and I take really short rides. So again, Uber Gold Rewards, this is why you want it. You want to know where these rides are going. And I'm always paying attention to the direction it's going. Because if I'm on a road, like, I'll give you guys an example. I live on this road here called Bell Road. Bell Road is really long. Like, it goes from like literally a completely different town, like all the way over. And so what I like doing is, maybe not on a road like that, because there is a good amount of traffic on a road like that, but a similar one, just for an example, is like if I'm sitting at like a McDonald's or something waiting for the next ride, and let's say the road goes east to west. It's not, you know, north to south, it's east to west. I'm wanting to get like 5 to 15 minute rides going east to west, because I know that odds are they might just work on this road and be going to their apartment that's, you know, 10 miles down on this road. So what I do is I stay on these city roads and I avoid getting stuck in highways. And a lot of times I'm doing like $1 to $2 surges on all of these rides that I'm giving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the reason why, like obviously that's not the most monstrous surge, but like if you're getting it on every single ride and you're doing 3 rides an hour, I mean, there's an extra $6 in your last 2 hours. And think about it this way. If you only did $17 in both of those 2 hours, well, those $6 in surge ended up pushing you over to $20 an hour, which I always say is the margin you want to aim for. You always want to go for $20 an hour. So that's like the main thing I do in these really condensed times is, and the key is like, you got to really know your city. Like you got to really know what areas you can do this in, because a lot of areas are going to be getting just intense traffic, especially in bigger markets. Like it's kind of something you can't always avoid. But then, like I said, then getting out of it as fast as you can is the key. Another thing I've frequently done, and I would say this is the best way of like truly avoiding it. It's just going to depend on your scenario. So airport rides I've found can be really, really good at surge times, because a lot of times it's people getting home, and a lot of people live on the sides of town that are avoiding traffic, especially a lot of businessmen, because they do that so that they're not hitting crazy traffic to and from the airport. So maybe I've gotten really lucky, but one thing I've noticed is I feel like most of the airport rides I give during rush hour keep me away from traffic. And so like we have a pretty good freeway here called or highway. I don't even know what is a highway, a freeway, whatever. And it's called the 101. And the 101 is like probably the main highway that I'll consider taking during traffic times, because it's usually pretty clear, especially going one direction. It's usually pretty clear. And what I've noticed is that from the airport, I can usually take a route getting onto the 101 to get my people home. And what's cool about it too is it's a little bit longer in mileage. But I always tell the airport rider, passenger, I'm like, hey, here's the reality. We got a crazy amount of traffic on this highway and this highway. I know the 101's a little bit longer, but you know, it is going to keep our ETA a lot lower. Everybody's okay with it. I mean, and the other thing you got to tell people in these scenarios too is a lot of times people wig out. Like, if it's going to only add 3 extra miles, like, you got to remind them that we get paid like 65 cents a mile. And it'd be like, hey, listen, here's the reality. At the most, you're talking an extra few dollars. And here's the reality, sir. Like, I'm only going to get like a percentage of even those few dollars. Like, some of that's going to Uber too. So like, I'm not trying to do this to like drain your wallet. You know, it's not really even benefiting me all that much. I tell this to people all the time. It's not even benefiting me all that much. You know, it's just better for both of us. You know, you're going to get home quicker. I'm going to get a ride quicker. And 9 times out of 10, people are really, really cool with that. So the biggest thing is knowing your city, knowing where traffic is prone, and then knowing some of the little highways or back roads you can utilize during these times to just kind of like shift away from all of it. So just to recap, the main important things are going to be utilizing your airport trips if that works in your market. If it doesn't, don't keep doing it. And then, yeah, finding a good east to west or north to south road, you know, that stays pretty clear, and just doing that. Because the other thing you guys got to think, it's not like we get traffic all day. We get traffic for, I mean, at the most a few hours during our shifts, you know, and it's usually like if you work in the morning rush, you experience it, or the afternoon rush, you experience it, you know. So the key is like, just avoid those areas. You're going to still get good rides. And yeah, set those destinations in the opposite direction out of it if you can. So I'm going to cut the video off here, guys. I hope y'all kill it this week. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys soon.